The envelope wasn't sealed. It sat there, half-tucked beneath the bathroom sink, edges worn like it had been folded and unfolded 1,000 times. Dante Moretti didn't make a habit of going through other people's things, but when you ran the East Coast and enemies hid in every shadow, you learned to notice what didn't belong. His fingers closed around the paper. The handwriting was shaky, desperate. "My dearest Sophia, if you're reading this, I'm gone. The man I owe money to won't wait anymore. I need you to know." His jaw locked. Sophia. His cleaner. The woman who scrubbed his floors and never met his eyes. The woman he'd been watching for 3 months, trying to figure out why she looked so haunted. He kept reading. And with every word, something inside him cracked wide open. This is a story that will grip you from the very first word to the last. If you want to know how everything began and where this journey leads, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Every view matters. Sofia Martinez had perfected the art of being invisible. At 28 years old, she'd learned that keeping your head down, your voice quiet, and your presence minimal was the key to survival. Especially when you cleaned the penthouse of the most dangerous man in New York City. The apartment was a fortress of marble and steel, perched 60 floors above Manhattan. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city like a king surveying his empire. Which, she supposed, was exactly what Dante Moretti was, a king. Just not the kind with a crown. The kind with blood on his hands and ice in his veins. Sophia moved through the master bathroom with practiced efficiency, her hands raw from bleach and exhaustion. This was her 3rd job of the day. Before this, she'd cleaned offices in Midtown and scrubbed toilets at a diner in Queens. After this, she had a night shift at a 24-hour laundromat. 4 jobs. 70 hours a week. And still, it wasn't enough. The debt hung over her like a guillotine. $47,000 owed to a loan shark who'd promised easy money and delivered a nightmare instead. Money she'd borrowed for her daughter's heart surgery 2 years ago. Money that had saved Lily's life but might cost Sophia hers. She was so lost in thought that she didn't hear the footsteps. "You missed a spot." Sophia's heart stopped. She spun around, nearly dropping the spray bottle. Dante Moretti stood in the doorway of his bathroom, arms crossed, suit jacket discarded to reveal a white dress shirt that did nothing to hide the powerful frame beneath. He was 32, devastatingly handsome in a way that felt dangerous. Sharp jaw, dark eyes that saw too much, black hair perfectly styled even at 6 in the evening. A tattoo crept up his neck, dark script in Italian she couldn't quite read from this distance. I'm sorry, Mr. Moretti. I'll fix it right away." Her voice came out smaller than she wanted. His eyes narrowed slightly, studying her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. He did this sometimes, watched her when he thought she wasn't looking. She'd learned to feel his gaze like a physical weight. "You work too much," he said. It wasn't a question. Sophia blinked, caught off guard. I manage 3 jobs." 4, she corrected before she could stop herself, then immediately regretted it. Why was she telling him anything? Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe, or calculation. With men like him, it was hard to tell. "Why?" he asked. "That's personal, Mr. Moretti." The corner of his mouth twitched. Almost a smile. Almost. "You're in my bathroom. Privacy is relative." Sophia's cheeks flushed. She hated this. Hated feeling small. Hated the power dynamic. Hated that even now, exhausted and terrified, some traitorous part of her noticed how attractive he was. It made her feel weak. "I have responsibilities," she said carefully. "Is there something you need, sir?" For a long moment, he just looked at her. Really looked. Like he was trying to solve a puzzle written in a language he didn't quite speak. "No," he finally said. "Finish up." And Sophia. Her name on his lips sent an unwelcome shiver down her spine. Yes. Lock up when you leave. And be careful going home. This city isn't safe at night. Then he was gone, leaving her alone with her racing heart and the strange, unsettling feeling that something had just shifted. She finished cleaning on autopilot, her mind spinning. In 3 months of working here, he'd barely said 10 words to her. Why the sudden interest? As she gathered her supplies, she noticed her bag had tipped over near the bathroom sink. Her heart lurched. The letter. Her mother's letter, the one she carried everywhere, the last words she'd ever written before the cancer took her. The envelope that reminded Sophia why she couldn't give up, no matter how hard things got. She checked the bag frantically. Still there. Thank God. But as she left the penthouse, she didn't notice the way the envelope's edge had slipped out, visible against the white tile. She didn't see how it caught the light. And she definitely didn't know that Dante Moretti would find it 30 minutes later. Dante stood in his bathroom, staring at the envelope in his hand like it might explode. He hadn't meant to read it. Privacy was sacred in his world. You didn't survive in the Mafia by being careless with other people's secrets. But the letter had been right there, and curiosity was a weakness he'd never quite conquered. Now he wished he'd walked away. My dearest Sophia, the letter began in shaky handwriting. If you're reading this, I'm gone. The cancer won. But before I leave this world, I need you to know some things. I'm so sorry I couldn't help you with the money. I'm sorry I'm leaving you alone with Lily to care for. I'm sorry I borrowed from Carlos Menendez. I thought I could pay him back before I died, but the treatments took everything. Now that debt falls to you, and I'll never forgive myself. But Sophia, mi amor, you are the strongest person I know. You've been carrying this family since you were 16. You're a fighter. Don't let that bastard Menendez break you. Don't let anyone break you. Lily is lucky to have you as a mother. Keep her safe. Keep her close. And remember, you deserve more than you think you do. You deserve happiness. You deserve love. You deserve a life that isn't just survival. I love you more than words can say. Be strong, Mija. And when the weight gets too heavy, remember, you are not alone. Your mother is always with you. Te amo siempre, Mama. Dante read it 3 times. Each time, something twisted tighter in his chest. Carlos Menendez. He knew that name. Every criminal in New York knew that name. A loan shark who preyed on desperate people, charging interest rates that made traditional mob practices look merciful. Menendez wasn't connected to any of the families. He operated independently, which made him dangerous in unpredictable ways. $47,000. That's what Sophia owed. Dante had spent more than that on watches. And a daughter. Sophia had a daughter. He walked to his desk, pulled out his phone, and made a call. It was answered on the first ring. Marco. I need information on someone. Sophia Martinez. Everything, where she lives, family situation, financial records, who she owes money to. I want it in an hour. Boss, is there a problem? Just get me the information. He hung up and stared out at the New York skyline. The city glittered like broken glass, beautiful and sharp and full of people drowning in silence. Why did he care? He'd built his empire on distance, on calculated decisions and emotional detachment. You didn't get sentimental in this business. You didn't rescue people. But something about Sophia Martinez had gotten under his skin from the moment she'd started working for him. The way she moved through his space like a ghost, trying so hard not to exist. The exhaustion etched into her beautiful face. The pride that kept her spine straight even when she was clearly falling apart. And now this letter. This raw, aching testament to love and sacrifice and debt that would destroy her. 57 minutes later, Marco called back. The information was worse than Dante had imagined. Sophia Martinez, 28. Daughter Lily, age 7, recovering from heart surgery performed 2 years ago at Mount Sinai. Total medical bills, $186,000. Insurance covered $139,000. She'd borrowed $47,000 from Carlos Menendez at 25% monthly interest, compounding. Current debt, $89,000. Menendez's last message to her, "You have 2 weeks. Then I take the kid." The phone creaked in Dante's hand. When he looked down, he'd cracked the screen. Nobody threatened children. Not in his city. Not while he drew breath. He made another call. "Rico, find Carlos Menendez. Bring him to the warehouse. I don't care if he's having dinner with the Pope. I want him there in 2 hours. Done, boss." And Rico? Be persuasive. He hung up and looked at the letter again. Sophia would be back tomorrow morning. She cleaned his penthouse every Tuesday and Friday. He'd give her the letter back. He'd tell her he'd found it. And then what? Dante Moretti didn't save people. He controlled them, used them, eliminated them when they became problems. But as he folded the letter carefully and placed it in his desk drawer, he knew with absolute certainty that he wasn't going to let Carlos Menendez touch Sophia or her daughter. Some lines you didn't cross. And apparently, Sophia Martinez was his line. Sophia's hands were shaking as she cleaned Dante's kitchen the next morning. Carlos had called last night. 3 times. Each message more threatening than the last. She had 11 days left before his deadline, and she was nowhere close to having the money. She'd considered running, disappearing with Lily, changing their names, starting over somewhere Carlos couldn't find them. But men like Carlos always found you. And running would only make him angrier. She was so deep in her spiral of panic that she didn't hear Dante approach. "Sophia!" She jumped, dropping the sponge into the sink. "Mr. Moretti. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. We need to talk." Her stomach dropped. This was it. He'd found out about her situation somehow, and now he was going to fire her. One less job. One less thread holding her life together. "Of course," she said, wiping her hands on her jeans. "Is something wrong with my work?" "Your work is perfect." He gestured toward his office. "Please." She followed him on numb legs, her mind racing through worst-case scenarios. The office was all dark wood and leather, expensive art on the walls, a massive desk that probably cost more than she made in a year. He motioned for her to sit. She perched on the edge of the chair, ready to bolt. Dante leaned against his desk, arms crossed, studying her with that unreadable expression that made her feel stripped bare. "I found something yesterday," he said. "After you left." Sophia's heart stopped. No, please not the letter." He opened a drawer and pulled out the familiar worn envelope. Her mother's handwriting. Her most precious possession. "That's mine," she whispered. "I didn't mean to leave it. I read it." The world tilted. Sophia stood abruptly, anger cutting through her fear. "You had no right." "I know. That was private. That was—" Her voice cracked. "How dare you? You're right." His voice was calm, steady, infuriatingly composed. "I violated your privacy. I'm not apologizing for it, but I'm acknowledging it. Sit down, Sophia." "I'd rather stand." "Sit down." The command in his voice wasn't loud, but it was absolute. The voice of a man used to being obeyed. Against her better judgment, Sophia sat. Dante moved around his desk, pulled something up on his computer, and turned the screen toward her. She saw numbers. Bank accounts. Carlos Menendez's name. "Your debt is paid," Dante said simply. Sophia's brain stopped working. "What?" "The full $89,000. transferred to Menendez's account this morning. In return, he signed a legally binding agreement never to contact you or your daughter again. I have men ensuring he understands the consequences of breaking that agreement." She stared at the screen, at the impossible numbers, at the word "paid" in bold letters. This couldn't be real. This had to be a trick. I don't understand. It's pretty straightforward. You owed money. Now you don't. Why?" The word came out broken. "Why would you do this?" Dante was quiet for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was different, rougher, more raw. "Because I could. Because Menendez is a parasite who preys on desperate people, and I don't tolerate that in my city. And because—" He paused, jaw tightening. "Because I read your mother's letter, and I decided you'd carried enough." Sophia couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't process the fact that this dangerous, powerful man had just erased her nightmare with a single transaction. "I can't accept this," she said. "I can't possibly pay you back. I'm not asking you to. Everyone wants something, Mr. Moretti. What do you want from me?" His eyes locked on hers, dark and intense and searching. "I want you to stop running yourself into the ground with 4 jobs. I want you to have time with your daughter. I want you to stop looking so goddamn terrified every time someone speaks to you." "You don't even know me." "No," he agreed. "But I'd like to." The air between them crackled with something Sophia didn't have a name for. Something dangerous and electric and completely inappropriate for a Mafia boss and his cleaning lady. "This is insane," she whispered. "Probably. I don't trust this. Smart. But I don't have a choice, do I? You've already paid it. The debt is transferred to you now." "No." Dante stood, walked around the desk until he was right in front of her. Close enough that she could smell his cologne, something dark and expensive that made her dizzy. "There is no debt. This isn't a loan. This isn't a transaction. This is a gift. From someone who has more money than he knows what to do with to someone who deserves better than the hand she's been dealt." Sophia's eyes burned. She would not cry. She would not break down in front of this man. "Why?" she asked again. "Really? Why?" Dante reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away, and tilted her chin up until she had to meet his eyes. "Because from the moment you started working here, I haven't been able to stop watching you," he said quietly. "Because you're strong and proud and you never complain even though you're drowning. Because I read your mother's letter and realized that I've spent my entire life surrounded by people who would sell their souls for money, and here you are, working yourself to death for a little girl who needs her mother. And I thought—" He stopped, shook his head. "I thought maybe for once I could do something good." Sophia's carefully constructed walls crumbled. A sob broke free, ugly and real and impossible to contain. And then Dante Moretti, feared Mafia boss, pulled her into his arms and let her fall apart against his chest. She cried for her mother, for the years of struggle, for Lily, for herself. And he just held her, one hand stroking her hair, saying nothing because there was nothing to say. When she finally pulled back, embarrassed and raw, he handed her his pocket square. "Silk. Probably worth more than her rent." "I'm sorry," she managed. "Don't be. I got tears all over your shirt. I have others." She laughed wetly, wiping her face. "This is crazy. You're crazy. I should leave. You should stay." "Why?" He smiled then, a real smile that transformed his entire face. "Because I haven't fed you breakfast yet, and you're about to pass out from exhaustion. And because I want to hear about Lily. And because, Sophia Martinez, you fascinate me in ways I don't fully understand yet." She should say no. She should run. This man was dangerous. This situation was impossible. But instead, she heard herself say, "I like my eggs scrambled." And Dante Moretti's smile grew wider. 3 weeks later, Sophia's life had become unrecognizable. She'd quit 3 of her 4 jobs. Dante had insisted, not demanded, insisted, which somehow felt different, and she'd been too exhausted to argue. Now she cleaned his penthouse twice a week and spent the rest of her time with Lily, who'd grown suspicious of her mother's sudden availability. "Did you win the lottery, Mama?" Lily had asked, those big brown eyes full of curiosity. "Something like that, baby." But it was more complicated than that. Because along with her freedom came something she hadn't anticipated, Dante Moretti's constant presence in her life. He called her daily. At first, it was simple check-ins. "Did Menendez bother you?" "No." "Do you need anything?" "No," but gradually, the calls shifted. They talked about everything. His childhood in Sicily. Her dreams of going to college. Lily's upcoming school play. His complicated relationship with power. And every Tuesday and Friday, when she came to clean, he was there. Watching her. Talking to her. Making her laugh. Making her think. Making her feel things she had no business feeling. "You're playing with fire," her best friend Maria had warned. "Men like him don't do relationships. They do possessions." But Dante didn't feel possessive. He felt attentive, present, like he saw her, really saw her, in a way no one ever had. Until the day everything went sideways. Sophia arrived at the penthouse on a Friday morning to find it in chaos. Men in suits everywhere, voices raised, tension so thick it was suffocating. She recognized some of them from pictures online, Dante's underbosses, his captains. The inner circle of his empire. She tried to slip past them to start her work, but a hand caught her arm. "You shouldn't be here," Marco, Dante's right hand, said. His face was grim. "I'm just here to clean." "Not today." "Come on, I'll walk you out." "Marco, what's happening?" "Nothing you need to worry about." But before he could lead her away, Dante's voice cut through the chaos. "Let her go." The entire room went silent. Dante emerged from his office, and Sophia's breath caught. He looked different. Harder, colder, every inch the dangerous man she sometimes forgot he was. His jaw was tight, eyes blazing with barely controlled rage. "Everyone out," he said. "Now." The men filed out immediately, leaving only Dante, Sophia, and Marco. "Boss," Marco started. "Out." Marco left. Dante turned to Sophia, and she saw something in his expression that made her stomach drop. Fear. Actual fear. "What's wrong?" she asked. "How much do you trust me?" "What kind of question is that?" "Answer me, Sophia." She studied his face, this man who'd changed her entire world in a matter of weeks. "I trust you." "Why?" He pulled out his phone, showed her a photograph. Her blood turned to ice. It was Lily. Outside her school. A man's hand visible at the edge of the frame. "Who took this?" Sophia's voice was barely a whisper. "Viktor Kozlov. Head of the Russian syndicate. My biggest rival." Dante's hands were shaking. She'd never seen him shake. "He knows about you. About Lily. He's using you to get to me." The room spun. "I don't understand. How does he even know I exist?" "You've been coming here for weeks. You've been seen with me." In his mind, that makes you leverage. Dante ran a hand through his hair, composure cracking. "This is my fault. I should have been more careful. I should have protected you better." "Where is Lily now?" Sophia was already reaching for her phone. "Safe. I have men outside her school. Victor won't touch her. He's just sending a message." "But Sophia." He gripped her shoulders. I need to move you, both of you, somewhere secure, until I handle this. Handle this how? His silence was answer enough. No, Sophia said. No, you are not starting a war over me. It's already started. This photo is Victor drawing a line. If I don't respond, I look weak. If I look weak, more people die than just you and Lily. Then I'll leave. I'll take Lily and disappear. You can tell him we meant nothing. He won't believe that. Why not? Dante's eyes locked on hers. Because, Sophia, everyone in my organization has seen the way I look at you. They know. And if they know, Victor knows. Her heart hammered. How do you look at me? Like you're the only thing in the room that matters. The confession hung between them, raw and impossible and terrifying. This is insane, Sophia breathed. We barely know each other. This isn't real. Tell me it doesn't feel real. He stepped closer, hands still on her shoulders, eyes searching hers desperately. Tell me I'm the only one who feels this. She couldn't, because the truth was, she felt it too. This magnetic pull, this connection that made no logical sense but existed anyway, powerful and undeniable. I can't let you risk your life for me, she said. And I can't let Victor threaten you. His thumb brushed her cheek. I know this is fast. I know it's crazy. But Sophia, from the moment I read your mother's letter, something changed. You changed me. And I am not letting anyone take you away. Dante. I have a safe house. Upper state, off the grid. You and Lily can stay there until I neutralize the threat. My best men will guard you. You'll be untouchable. And you. I'll end this. Sophia knew what that meant. Blood. Violence. All the darkness she'd tried so hard to stay away from. But when she looked at this man, this complicated, dangerous, surprisingly gentle man, she realized she'd already made her choice. Maybe she'd made it the day he'd paid her debt. Or the first time he'd made her laugh. Or right now, seeing the fear in his eyes that wasn't for himself but for her. How long? She asked. Relief flooded his face. A week. Maybe less. Promise me you'll come back. Sophia. Promise me, Dante. He pulled her against him, his forehead resting against hers. I promise. Nothing in this world could keep me from coming back to you. And then he kissed her. It was gentle and fierce all at once, tasting of desperation and promise and everything they hadn't said yet. Sophia's hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer, pouring every complicated feeling into this one perfect, impossible moment. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Dante's phone was ringing. It's Lily's school, he said, glancing at the screen. My men are bringing her here. We leave in 20 minutes. Sophia nodded, trying to steady her racing heart. 20 minutes. That's all she had to say goodbye to her life and step into his world completely. But as Dante held her hand and made call after call, orchestrating their protection with military precision, Sophia realized something that should have terrified her. She was already in his world. Had been since the moment he'd found that letter. And she wouldn't have it any other way. The safe house was beautiful, a lakeside cabin surrounded by forest, guards stationed at every possible entrance, technology that would make the FBI jealous. Lily loved it immediately. Mama, can we stay here forever? She asked, running through the enormous living room with the kind of energy only 7-year-olds possessed. Just for a little while, baby, Sophia said, her heart aching. 4 days. That's how long they'd been here. 4 days of safety and comfort and waiting. 4 days of brief phone calls with Dante, his voice always calm, always reassuring, never quite hiding the tension underneath. She missed him. It was ridiculous how much she missed him, this man she'd known for barely a month. But there it was, this longing that felt carved into her bones. On the 5th day, Marco arrived. "It's over," he said simply. "Victor's gone. Dante wants you to come home." Sophia's knees went weak with relief. "Is he okay?" Marco's expression softened. "See for yourself." The drive back to the city felt endless. Lily chattered in the back seat about the lake and the trees and the deer she'd seen, oblivious to the weight pressing on Sophia's chest. They didn't go to her apartment. They went to Dante's penthouse. He was standing by the window when they arrived, still wearing yesterday's clothes, exhaustion evident in every line of his body. But when he turned and saw her, his entire face transformed. "Sophia!" She crossed the room in seconds, not caring about Marco watching, not caring about anything except the fact that he was alive and whole and here. She threw her arms around him, and he caught her, lifting her off her feet, burying his face in her hair. "I kept my promise," he murmured. "You kept your promise." They stood like that for a long moment, just breathing each other in. Then a small voice broke the spell. "Are you Mama's friend?" Lily stood in the doorway, eyes wide, taking in the enormous penthouse. Dante set Sophia down carefully and crouched to Lily's level. "I'm Dante. And yes, I'm your Mama's friend. You have a really big house." "I do. Is that a real Monet?" Lily pointed at the painting on the wall. Sophia blinked. "Lily, how do you know about Monet?" "We learned about him in art class." Lily walked closer, studying the painting with serious concentration. "He painted water lilies. This one looks like the pictures in my book." Dante glanced at Sophia, clearly impressed. "You're right. It is real. You like art. I like drawing. Mama says I'm good at it. Would you like to see my library? I have some art books." Lily's face lit up. "Really? Really? Come on." And just like that, Dante Moretti, feared Mafia boss, led her 7-year-old daughter off to look at books, leaving Sophia standing in his living room with tears streaming down her face. Marco appeared beside her, holding out a tissue. "He's been cleaning out a bedroom for her. Just in case." "Just in case what?" "Just in case you said yes." "Yes to what?" Marco smiled. "You'll see." 2 hours later, Lily was asleep in what was apparently now her room. A space Dante had transformed into a little girl's dream, complete with art supplies, books, and a bed shaped like a cloud. Sophia found him on the terrace, staring out at the city lights. "You're full of surprises," she said, joining him at the railing. "She's incredible. Smart as hell. She liked you. I liked her too." He turned to face her. "Sophia, I need to ask you something." Her heart started racing. "Okay." "These past 5 days were the longest of my life. Not because of Victor, I've dealt with worse, but because you weren't here. Because I kept walking past the kitchen and expecting to see you. Because every time my phone rang, I hoped it was you." "Dante, let me finish." He took her hands. "I know this is fast. I know it's insane. I know I'm a dangerous man in a dangerous world, and you have every reason to run. But Sophia, I am completely, irrevocably in love with you. And I'm asking—" He took a breath. "I'm asking if you and Lily would consider staying. Not as my cleaner. As my family." Sophia's world tilted. "You love me. Desperately. We've known each other 5 weeks. I know. You're a Mafia boss. I know. This could never work. And yet—" He cupped her face gently. "Here we are. She should be logical, practical, careful." But when she looked into his eyes, all she saw was the man who'd saved her, who'd held her while she cried, who'd protected her daughter like she was his own, who'd let a 7-year-old lecture him about Impressionist art for an hour without complaint. "I love you too," she whispered. "God help me, I love you too." His kiss was soft and reverent and full of promise. When he pulled back, he was smiling, that rare, genuine smile that made him look younger. "Move in with me," he said. "Both of you. I'll keep you safe. I'll give Lily everything she needs. Yes, yes, yes." She laughed, tears spilling over again. "Yes to all of it. Yes to this insane, impossible thing. Yes." Dante lifted her off her feet, spinning her around, laughing with pure joy. And for the first time in years, Sophia felt something she'd thought was lost forever: hope. 5 years later, Sophia stood on the terrace of the penthouse, watching the sunset paint the city gold. So much had changed. The penthouse was filled with Lily's artwork now, bright splashes of color against all that sophisticated elegance. Sophia had gone back to school, business degree, finished last year. Dante had proposed on their first anniversary, a simple band that meant everything. They'd married quietly, just family and close friends. No Mafia pomp, just love. Lily bounded onto the terrace, now 12 and full of preteen energy. "Mama, Dad says dinner's ready. And he made your favorite." "Dad." She'd started calling him that 2 years ago, and Dante had cried. Actually cried. "Tell him we'll be right there," Sophia said. Lily disappeared back inside, and Dante emerged a moment later, wiping his hands on a dish towel. He'd learned to cook. Turns out the man who could command an empire could also make perfect risotto. "Happy?" he asked, sliding his arms around her waist from behind. Sophia leaned back against him, feeling safe and loved and impossibly grateful. "Happier than I ever thought possible." "Good." He kissed her temple. "Because you deserve everything, Sophia Moretti. Everything and more." She turned in his arms, looking up at this man who'd found a hidden letter and changed her entire world. "I love you," she said. "I love you more." "Impossible. Watch me prove it every day for the rest of our lives." And he did.